Here with us is Thad Cleveland, sheriff along the southern border in Cleveland County, Texas, and a 26-year veteran of U.S. Border Patrol. Sheriff, welcome back to the show.
Howdy, Hena. Good morning. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. There's still 5 months until the presidential election. Based on what you heard this week from each candidate at the debate, do either of them have a plan for the border to work? If not, what do they need to do in the next 5 months to convince you that they can handle the border if and when they're in office?
Well, I don't need to be convinced. And the reason I say that is, again, I was a 26-year Border Patrol veteran. I worked under various administrations, both Democrat and Republican, who all furthered border security. And again, almost ending my career with under President Trump. I did work a year in the Biden administration, but I'm confident that President Trump will bring a resolution back to the border. And I was taught not to use the word lie growing up, and this administration continues to be very untruthful, whether it's the president or Secretary Mayorkas about what's going on. They continue to put spin on the numbers. I can tell you that what's going on here on the border hasn't changed at all.
Can we talk about the numbers? Because the Biden administration is saying the policy has led to a 40% drop in arrests. Do you disagree with that?
You know, and I didn't go look on those numbers specifically. I do know about a week after the executive order was signed, we were still above that 2,500 daily apprehension mark. I know here in the last week or so it has dropped below 2,000, and again that's going to vary. But let's put the numbers away. Regardless if it's 10 across a day, 1,000 or 5,000, that still represents an unsecure border. Fentanyl seizures, methamphetamine seizures at the border still represent a porous border. And it doesn't matter if it happens at a port of entry, which the left's going to tell you, or in between, which the right's going to tell you. It's still indicative of a porous border.
We heard Secretary Mayorkas talk about some of those crimes committed by illegal immigrants in recent weeks, something we follow here very closely, as you know, Sheriff. Do you think Biden's new asylum policy will deter immigrants with those prior rap sheets from crossing the border and coming into the country?
Hannah, not at all. And the reason I say that, look, I made 2 arrests yesterday. One individual came out of Houston. He was from Mexico. He was actually identified as an MS-13 member, which was odd to us being out of Mexico. But he had such a lengthy rap sheet. He was an ag felon. He's being set up for 1326, which is a Border Patrol charge out of the Immigration Nationality Act for reentry after deport. The reason I bring that up is he, in his interview, said that he wasn't worried. He didn't think we were going to do anything to him, and he thought he would just be released. Well, he wasn't released. The second individual that I arrested was also from Mexico. He was here also to pick up a group of illegal aliens. He had methamphetamine with him, and we are charging him here at the county level with not just alien smuggling, but also with the methamphetamine, the narcotics. But to your point specifically, no, that executive order is not going to deter people from coming, because if they're from a country that doesn't have a computer database like us, of course there's not going to be any record of them or any derogatory information. So again, what it takes is a strong leader in the White House that tells the rest of the world that you're not going to come to our country illegally, and then he backs up that talk with action at the border.
Allie Bradley mentioned this in her piece. We've seen conflicting reports of ISIS smuggling people across the border as well. Recently, 8 men from Central Asia were arrested for possible ties to ISIS. Is this a national security problem, Sheriff?
100%. Look, border security is national security, and that's just one instance. Look, we've seen the number of Chinese in or out in San Diego, it outnumbers the amount of Mexican nationals. They've also surpassed the number of total apprehensions of Chinese last year by more than double. With that being said, it doesn't matter if it's going to be some attack on Americans that causes death, or if it's an attack by cybersecurity that creates disruptions in whether it's our electricity grid or our financial system. All that's going to be painful to Americans. Of course, we don't want to see deaths, but we're going to continue to see people come in from places that want to harm Americans and America.
Well, Sheriff, I want to say again, I want to thank you for everything you and U.S. Border Patrol agents are doing. This is not an easy job. Sheriff Thaddeus Cleveland, thank you, sir, for joining us.